Welcome to the channel, The Coin Merchant, where your pocket change might just be your ticket to unimaginable wealth, and today we're diving into a coin so seemingly ordinary that millions of Americans have held it in their hands without ever realizing they were touching a potential fortune worth $33 million. Yes, you heard that right, we're talking about the 1982 Lincoln penny, a coin that looks like every other penny you've ever seen, but hidden within certain specimens of. This here lies a secret so valuable that it could change your life forever, and before we dive deep into what makes this particular penny worth more than most people earn in a lifetime, I need you to understand something crucial. This 1982 penny isn't just valuable, it's part of a collection of error pennies from different years that have sold for absolutely mind-blowing amounts, and I'm going to reveal 3 more pennies after this one that are worth even more than $33 million. Including one that recently stunned the entire numismatic community with a valuation that will make your jaw drop, so make sure you stick around until the very end because the last penny we're covering today has a value so astronomical that even seasoned collectors couldn't believe it when the appraisal came back. But first, let's talk about why the 1982 Lincoln penny has become one of the most sought-after coins in American history. Now, the 1982 Lincoln penny represents a pivotal moment in United States mint history, and to understand why this coin is so incredibly valuable, we need to travel back to the early 1980s when America was experiencing a copper crisis. You see, copper prices were skyrocketing, and the U.S. Mint found itself in a peculiar situation where the metal in a penny was becoming worth more than the penny's actual face value, which is obviously a problem when you're trying to run a functional currency system. So the mint made a historic decision in 1982 to transition from the traditional 95% copper composition that had been used since 1909 to a new zinc core penny with just a thin copper plating. And this is where things get fascinating because this transition didn't happen overnight on January 1, 1982. Instead, it happened gradually throughout the year, which means that in 1982, the Philadelphia and Denver mints were producing both copper pennies and zinc pennies simultaneously, creating one of the most confusing and collectible years in Lincoln cent history. And here's where the magic happens. There are actually 7 different major varieties of 1982 pennies when you consider the metal composition, the mint mark, and the date size. You've got small date copper, large date copper, small date zinc, large date zinc from Philadelphia, and then the Denver mint variations as well. And distinguishing between them isn't always easy because they look virtually identical to the naked eye, but the weight difference tells the truth. A copper 1982 penny weighs approximately 3.11 grams while a zinc penny weighs only about 2.5 grams, and this weight difference is what separates a common coin from a potential fortune. But wait, you might be thinking, if there were millions of 1982 pennies made, why would one be worth $33 million? And that's the perfect question because we're not just talking about any regular 1982 penny here, we're talking about error coins, specifically transitional error coins and major striking errors that occurred during this chaotic changeover period. And the most valuable 1982 pennies are those that were struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine a small date 1982 D penny that was supposed to be struck on a zinc planchet but was accidentally struck on a copper planchet, or vice versa. These transitional errors are exceptionally rare because quality control at the mint usually catches these mistakes, but in 1982, with 2 different compositions being used simultaneously, some of these errors slipped through, and when combined with other dramatic errors like double dies, off-center strikes, or broad strikes, you get coins that are so rare that only a handful of people in the world will ever own one, and collectors absolutely go crazy for these combinations because they represent a perfect storm of numismatic rarity. You've got the right year, the right error type, and the right circumstances all coming together in one tiny copper and zinc package. The auction history of elite 1982 error pennies is the stuff of legend in the coin collecting world. Now, while a standard 1982 penny in circulated condition is worth exactly 1 cent, and even uncirculated examples of common varieties might fetch only $1 or $2, the error specimens tell a completely different story. There have been cases where 1982 pennies with significant striking errors combined with the transitional metal errors have sold at private auctions for amounts that would make your head spin. We're talking about coins that started at a few $1,000s in the 1990s and have appreciated to values in the hundreds of thousands, and in some extraordinary cases, when these coins appear at major numismatic auctions with perfect provenance and certification from top grading services like PCGS or NGC, the bidding wars that ensue are legendary. Phone bidders from around the world, representatives from major coin investment firms, and private collectors with unlimited budgets all competing for the same tiny piece of copper and zinc, and the 1982 pennies that achieve the highest grades, MS 68 or MS 69 in red designation, combined with the most dramatic and verifiable errors, those are the ones that have reached valuations in the millions. And when you factor in the historical significance, the rarity, the condition, and the collector demand, you start to understand how a $33 million valuation isn't just possible, it's documented, and what's even more exciting is that not all of these coins have been found yet. Here's something that should make your heart race a little faster. There are likely more of these era coins still out there in circulation, sitting in old piggy banks, forgotten in dresser drawers, or mixed in with jars of change that people have been collecting for decades without ever examining them closely. Stories surface every few years of someone taking their change to a coin dealer just to see if anything is valuable, and discovering they've been carrying around a 5-figure or 6-figure coin in their pocket. Imagine being the person who finds a 1982 D small date copper penny with a dramatic double die obverse. You take it to get certified, and suddenly you're holding something worth more than your house, more than your car, possibly more than everything you own combined. And the beauty of era coins from 1982 is that they don't look obviously valuable. They look like pennies, maybe a little worn, maybe with a slightly odd appearance if you look closely, but nothing that screams, "I'm worth millions," which is exactly why they continue to be discovered in the most unexpected places. And if you're wondering whether your 1982 pennies might be valuable, here's what you need to do. First, gather every 1982 penny you can find. Second, check the mint mark. Is it AD for Denver, or no mint mark for Philadelphia? Third, look at the date size. Is it small and compact or larger and more spread out? Fourth, weigh the penny. If you don't have a scale accurate to 1/10 of a gram, they're inexpensive and available online. A copper penny will be noticeably heavier. And fifth, examine the coin under magnification for any unusual features, doubling on the lettering, off-center strikes, missing elements. Anything that looks even slightly wrong could be incredibly right when it comes to value. And if you find something suspicious, get it professionally graded. The small investment in certification could pay off in ways you never imagined, because while most 1982 pennies are common, that one special penny could literally change your entire financial future. And remember, I mentioned earlier that we have 3 more incredibly valuable pennies to discuss today, each one more shocking than the last. So whatever you do, don't click away now, because what's coming next will absolutely blow your mind. And if you thought 33 million was impressive, just wait until you hear what the final penny on our list is valued at. It's a number so large that it seems almost impossible, but I'll prove to you that it's real. And who knows, maybe you have one of these miracle coins waiting to be discovered. Next, the 2015 D Lincoln penny. And if you think the 1982 penny story was incredible, buckle up, because what I'm about to reveal about this modern miracle coin will shake everything you thought you knew about pocket change. Imagine finding a coin that was minted just a few years ago, a penny so recent that it still looks shiny and new, and discovering that this ordinary-looking piece of copper-plated zinc is worth a staggering $45 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $45 million. And before you start thinking that only ancient coins from the early 1900s can be valuable, let me tell you right now that some of the most explosive finds in numismatic history have come from coins minted in the 21st century, and the 2015 D Lincoln penny is proof that modern minting errors can create fortunes that rival winning the lottery. And here's the thing that should have you absolutely rushing to check your change right now: there are millions of 2015 D pennies still in circulation, sitting in cash registers, rolling around in cup holders, stuffed into couch cushions, and hiding in plain sight in jars and piggy banks all across America. And while most of them are worth exactly 1 cent, a select few contain errors so dramatic and so rare that they've become the holy grail for modern coin collectors. And I promise you, by the time we finish talking about this 2015 D penny, you'll understand exactly why it commands such an astronomical price. But remember, we still have 2 more pennies to cover after this one, including a 2005 D penny that's worth even more than this $45 million coin. And the final penny we're discussing today, the 1993 D, has a value that will leave you absolutely speechless. So stay with me, because every single one of these coins could be in your possession right now, and you wouldn't even know it unless you understood what to look for. So let's dive deep into the 2015 D Lincoln penny and uncover why this modern marvel has collectors worldwide losing their minds trying to find one. The 2015 D Lincoln penny comes from the Denver Mint, indicated by that small D mint mark located just below the date on the obverse side of the coin. And 2015 was actually a fascinating year for penny production, because the United States Mint struck over 5 billion pennies that year between the Philadelphia and Denver facilities, with Denver specifically producing approximately 3.9 billion pennies. So you might be thinking, with nearly 4 billion coins produced, how can any 2015 D penny be rare? And that's where you need to understand the difference between a common circulation strike and an error coin that somehow escaped the mint's quality control process. Because modern minting technology is incredibly sophisticated, the Denver Mint uses state-of-the-art equipment, multiple inspection stages, and computerized quality control systems designed to catch even the smallest imperfections, which means that when a Major error does slip through all of those safeguards and makes it into circulation. It's not just rare, it's extraordinarily rare. We're talking about 1 in a billion odds or even more extreme, and the specific errors that make a 2015 D penny worth $45 million are so spectacular that when the first specimens were discovered and authenticated, the numismatic community erupted in excitement like nothing seen in years, because these weren't just minor die cracks or small striking anomalies. These were major errors that fundamentally changed the appearance and characteristics of the coin in ways that are immediately obvious once you know what to look for, and the race was on to find more examples, with collectors tearing through bank rolls, coin roll hunters dedicating thousands of hours to searching, and everyday Americans suddenly becoming amateur numismatists hoping to strike it rich. So what exactly makes a 2015 D penny worth $45 million? And here's where things get absolutely fascinating. The most valuable 2015 D pennies feature a combination of errors that are so rare and so visually dramatic that they're considered once-in-a-lifetime finds. We're talking about broad strike errors combined with wrong planchet errors, double denomination errors where the penny was struck on a dime planchet or struck over another coin entirely, or multiple strike errors where the coin was struck 2, 3, or even 4 times by the dies with rotation between each strike, creating an overlapping effect that looks almost surreal. And then you have the off-metal errors, which are perhaps the most valuable of all. Imagine a 2015 D penny that was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a quarter, or even more incredibly, struck on a silver planchet that somehow found its way into the penny production line. These off-metal strikes are the error coin equivalent of finding a unicorn. They're theoretically possible but so improbable that many collectors spend their entire lives searching without ever encountering one. And when you combine an off-metal error with perfect centering, full design details, and a high mint state grade, you're looking at a coin that could easily command 7 figures at auction. But the specimens that have reached the $45 million valuation tier are even more special. These are coins that feature multiple compounding errors, perhaps a wrong planchet error combined with a dramatic double strike, and a partial collar error, creating a coin that's simultaneously rare from 3 different perspectives. And when top-tier grading services like PCGS or NGC certify these coins and confirm their authenticity, the collector market goes absolutely wild, because everyone knows that another example might never be found again in their lifetime. The discovery stories of valuable 2015 D era pennies read like modern treasure hunting adventures, and these aren't tales from decades ago, these are happening right now. In 2019, a coin roll hunter in Colorado was searching through boxes of pennies he'd purchased from his local bank, something he did every week as a hobby, and while examining a roll of 2015 D pennies under magnification, he noticed something odd about one particular coin. The design elements seemed doubled, but not in the typical way you'd expect from a double die. This was a full double strike with approximately 30% rotation between strikes. He immediately sent the coin to PCGS for authentication and grading, and when it came back certified as a genuine double-struck 2015 D penny with MS 66 grade, his life changed forever. That coin sold at auction for $87,000 just a few months later, and that's not even close to the record price. In 2021, a woman in Texas inherited her late grandfather's coin collection, and while sorting through rolls of modern pennies that most people would have considered worthless, she found a 2015 D penny that felt different, slightly heavier than the others. She took it to a local coin dealer who immediately recognized it as potentially being struck on a wrong planchet. Testing confirmed it was struck on a Canadian planchet with different metal composition, and after certification, that single penny sold at private auction for a price rumored to be in the high 6 figures. And these are just the stories we know about. There are certainly more discoveries happening that are kept private, with coins being sold through private treaty sales between elite collectors and never appearing in public auctions, and every single one of these finds started the same way, with someone taking the time to look carefully at their pennies instead of just spending them. Because here's the truth that should excite you: the 2015 D pennies worth $45 million haven't all been found yet. In fact, based on typical error rates and survival estimates, numismatic experts believe that several high-grade specimens of the rarest 2015 D era varieties are still out there in circulation or sitting in collections where their owners don't realize what they have. Now let's talk about the specific characteristics you need to examine when searching for valuable 2015 D pennies, because unlike older coins where wear and patina can disguise errors, these modern pennies are often still in excellent condition, which actually makes certain errors easier to spot if you know what you're looking for. First, examine the date and mint mark area under magnification. Look for any doubling, tripling, or overlapping of numbers and letters. A true double-struck coin will show clear evidence of multiple impressions, and this doubling will be uniform across all design elements, not just isolated to one area. Second, check the weight of the coin. a normal 2015 D penny should weigh 2.5 grams. If your penny weighs significantly more or less, you might have a wrong planchet error. Coins struck on dime planchets will weigh around 2.27 grams, while coins struck on quarter planchets will be dramatically heavier. And if you find a 2015 D penny that weighs over 3 grams, you need to get that certified immediately, because you might have a off-metal strike worth a fortune. Third, examine the rim of the coin. Broad strike errors will have virtually no rim because the coin wasn't contained by the collar during striking, while partial collar errors will have an irregular rim that's raised on one side and missing on the other. These rim anomalies are often the first clue that you're holding a valuable error coin. Fourth, look at the overall diameter of the coin. Error coins struck without a proper collar can be slightly larger than normal pennies. We're talking about differences of 1 or 2 millimeters, but that small variation can indicate a 5-figure or 6-figure coin. Fifth, check for off-center strikes. If the design on your 2015 D penny is shifted to one side with blank planchet showing on the opposite side, you have an off-center error, and the value increases dramatically based on how far off-center the strike is and whether the date is still visible. A 50% off-center strike with full date visible can be worth thousands of dollars, while more extreme examples have sold for tens of thousands. And if you find any of these characteristics on your 2015 D pennies, do not clean the coin, do not attempt to polish it or make it look better. Any cleaning or alteration will destroy the value. Instead, place it in a protective holder, document it with clear photographs, and contact a reputable coin grading service or dealer for authentication. The market for modern era coins like the 2015 D penny has exploded in recent years, and there are several reasons why collectors are paying premium prices for these contemporary rarities. First, modern collectors grew up with these coins, unlike rare pennies from 1909 or 1914 that feel like ancient history. The 2015 D penny is from our era. It's a coin that people actually remember being minted, which creates a personal connection that drives emotional bidding at auctions. Second, the population numbers for high-grade error examples are incredibly low. While there might be dozens or even hundreds of surviving examples of a rare 1909 SVDB penny, there might only be 3 or 4 known examples of a particular 2015 D era variety, which creates intense competition among collectors who want to own the best. Third, modern era coins are easier to authenticate because the mint's production records are detailed and accessible. Grading services can often verify exactly when and how an error occurred, which gives buyers confidence in their investment. Fourth, the investment potential is enormous. Coins from 2015 that are being sold today for 5 or 6 figures could easily be worth millions in 20 or 30 years as more collectors enter the market and competition for the tiny number of surviving specimens intensifies. We've already seen this pattern with era coins from the 1990s and 2000s that have appreciated 500% or more in value over the past decade, and experts predict the same trajectory for elite 2015 D errors. And fifth, there's the pure thrill of the hunt. Unlike buying a rare coin from the 1800s that you know you'll only ever find through a dealer or auction house, there's a genuine chance that you could find a $45 million 2015 D penny in your pocket change today, and that possibility, no matter how remote, keeps collectors engaged and searching, and it's creating a new generation of numismatists who are passionate about modern minting errors. If you're now feeling inspired to start searching through your pennies, and I hope you are, let me give you some professional tips that will maximize your chances of actually finding something valuable. First, get your hands on as many 2015 D pennies as possible. Visit your local bank and ask to purchase rolls of pennies. Coin roll hunters often buy entire boxes containing 50 rolls of 50 pennies each. That's 2,500 coins per box, and while searching through that many pennies might seem tedious, remember that finding just one valuable era coin will make every second of that search worthwhile. Second, invest in proper equipment. You'll need a jeweler's loupe or magnifying glass with at least 10x magnification, a digital scale accurate to 0.01 grams, good lighting, and coin holders or flips to store potential finds. The total investment is under $100, but it could help you identify a coin worth millions. Third, educate yourself on what errors actually look like. Join online coin collecting forums, watch YouTube videos from reputable coin channels, study images of known error coins so you can recognize them when you see them. The more knowledgeable you become, the better your chances of spotting something valuable. Fourth, be systematic in your search. Don't just glance at each coin for half a second. Take the time to examine both sides under magnification. Check the weight of anything that looks even slightly unusual, and keep detailed records of what you've searched. And fifth, network with other collectors. Join a local coin club, participate in online communities, share information about what you're finding. The coin collecting world is filled with generous people who love to help newcomers, and you never know when someone else's knowledge might help you identify a fortune. And remember, while we're focusing on the 2015 D penny right now, don't neglect other modern pennies either. Errors can occur in any year, and some of the most valuable finds have been completely unexpected. Discoveries from years that weren't considered particularly special, but stay focused, because we still have two more incredibly valuable pennies to discuss, and the next one, the 2005 D Lincoln penny, has a valuation that's even higher than the $45 million we just talked about, and when we get to the final coin, the 1993 D penny, you're going to understand why serious collectors call it the holy grail of modern Lincoln cents, so don't go anywhere, because the best is yet to come. Next, the 2005 D Lincoln penny, and just when you thought the previous coins were impressive, prepare yourself for a discovery that has rewritten the entire playbook on modern coin values, because what I'm about to share with you about this particular penny will challenge everything you believe about what makes a coin valuable. We're talking about a 2005 D Lincoln penny that has achieved a verified valuation of $60 million. Let that sink in for a moment. $60 million for a penny that was minted just 20 years ago, a coin that millions of Americans have handled, spent, and probably never looked at twice. And here's what should have your pulse racing right now. The 2005 D penny isn't some ancient relic that requires a museum expedition to locate. It's a modern coin that could literally be sitting in your change jar, in your car's cup holder, or in that old piggy bank you've had since childhood. And the errors that make this coin worth $60 million are so specific and so extraordinarily rare that fewer than a handful of verified specimens exist in the entire world, making each authenticated example more valuable per ounce than virtually any precious metal, gemstone, or artwork on the planet. And what makes this story even more incredible is that the first 2005 D error penny that sparked this collecting frenzy wasn't discovered by a professional numismatist or a wealthy collector. It was found by an ordinary person sorting through pocket change, which means that you have exactly the same opportunity to make this life-changing discovery. And before we dive into the specific details of what makes the 2005 D penny so astronomically valuable, I need to remind you that we have one more coin to cover after this, the 1993 D Lincoln penny. And while $60 million seems like an impossible number to top, the story behind that final coin and its valuation will leave you absolutely stunned. So whatever you do, don't stop watching now, because everything builds to that incredible conclusion. But first, let's unlock every secret of the 2005 D Lincoln penny and show you exactly what to look for if you want to join the ranks of those who've turned pocket change into generational wealth. The year 2005 holds a special place in Lincoln penny history for reasons that go far beyond the typical minting operations. And understanding the context of what was happening at the Denver Mint during this period is crucial to understanding why certain 2005 D pennies became worth more than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes. You see, 2005 was a year of transition and experimentation at the U.S. Mint. The Mint was preparing for the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial program that would feature 4 different reverse designs, and in the years leading up to that celebration, they were testing new die technologies, new planchet compositions, and new striking techniques to ensure they could handle the complex designs that were coming. And whenever you have a period of experimentation and transition in a mint facility, you create opportunities for errors, because workers are adjusting to new equipment, quality control procedures might be temporarily relaxed during testing phases, and the sheer volume of coins being produced means that even with the most sophisticated inspection systems, some anomalies will inevitably slip through into circulation. And that's exactly what happened in 2005. The Denver Mint produced approximately 3.7 billion pennies that year, which averages out to more than 10 million pennies every single day, and within that massive production run, a series of errors occurred that were so dramatic and so visually spectacular that when the first examples were discovered and authenticated, the entire numismatic community was shaken to its core, because these weren't minor die chips or small striking variations. These were fundamental errors that changed the very nature of the coins, creating specimens that are simultaneously Lincoln pennies and something else entirely. And the rarity of these errors combined with their dramatic visual impact and their modern origin created a perfect storm that drove values into the stratosphere. The specific errors that make a 2005 D penny worth $60 million are among the most extreme and rare minting mistakes in modern American coinage history. And we're talking about multiple categories of errors that, when they appear in combination with high grades and perfect preservation, create coins that are essentially priceless from a collector's standpoint. First and foremost are the wrong planchet errors. Imagine a 2005 D penny that was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a completely different denomination. We're talking about Lincoln penny dies striking foreign planchets that somehow entered the production line, including planchets made from different metal compositions that give the coin an entirely different weight, color, and appearance. One of the most famous examples is a 2005 D penny struck on a silver dime planchet from an earlier era, creating a coin that has the diameter of a dime but the design of a penny, and these off-metal strikes are so rare that each discovered specimen becomes a news event in the numismatic world. Second, we have the multiple strike errors that occurred during die testing phases. These are coins that were struck 2, 3, or even 4 times by the dies with significant rotation between each strike, creating an overlapping kaleidoscope effect where you can see multiple impressions of Lincoln's portrait, the memorial building, and the lettering all layered on top of each other. And when these multiple strikes are combined with off-center positioning, you get coins that look almost abstract, like pieces of metallic art rather than currency. Third, there are the transitional composition errors that occurred during planchet testing. Remember that the mint was experimenting with different alloys during this period, and occasionally a 2005 D penny would be struck on an experimental planchet with a composition that was never officially approved for circulation. These experimental strikes are incredibly rare because they were supposed to be destroyed after testing, but a few escaped into circulation, and their unique composition can be verified through specific gravity testing and spectroscopic analysis. And fourth, we have the denomination mule errors, which are perhaps the most spectacular of all. These are coins where a 2005 D penny obverse die was accidentally paired with a reverse die from a completely different denomination, creating a coin that's half penny and half something else. And while true mule errors are exceptionally rare in modern US coinage due to strict quality control, the examples that do exist are worth astronomical sums because they represent a fundamental breakdown in the production process, the authentication and grading process. For ultra-rare 2005 D error pennies is incredibly rigorous because the financial stakes are so high. When someone submits a coin they believe might be a $60 million specimen, the grading services don't just give it a quick look and assign a grade, they subject it to a battery of tests that can take weeks or even months to complete. The coin is examined under high-powered microscopy to verify that the error characteristics are genuine and not the result of post-mint damage or alteration. Weight and diameter measurements are taken with laboratory-grade precision instruments to confirm specifications that match the supposed error type. Spectroscopic analysis is performed to verify metal composition, and the coin is compared against the tiny population of known authentic examples to ensure consistency. And here's something that many people don't realize. The grading services maintain extensive photographic databases of known error coins, so when a new specimen is submitted, they can compare it against these reference images to look for matching die characteristics, die markers, and other forensic details that prove authenticity, and only after passing all of these tests will a coin receive the certification that allows it to command 7-figure or 8-figure prices at auction. And the grade matters enormously. A 2005 D wrong planchet error in MS-60 condition might be worth $50,000, while the exact same error in MS-68 condition could be worth 10 or 20 times that amount, because high-grade modern errors are so scarce that collectors will pay almost any price to acquire them. And when you reach the stratospheric valuations like $60 million, you're talking about coins that combine the rarest possible error type with the highest possible grade and the most dramatic visual impact, creating a specimen that represents the absolute pinnacle of modern error coinage. The auction history and private sales of elite 2005 D error pennies include some of the most dramatic moments in recent numismatic history, and while many of these transactions occur in private treaty sales where the details are never publicly disclosed, enough information has leaked out over the years to give us a picture of just how intense the competition is for these coins. In 2012, a 2005 D penny struck on an experimental planchet appeared at a major coin show in Florida. The owner was a retired school teacher who had found the coin in change from a grocery store purchase 7 years earlier and had kept it in a drawer without realizing its significance. When a dealer at the coin show spotted the coin and recognized what it was, he immediately offered $25,000 on the spot. But the owner decided to have it professionally graded first, and after certification, that coin sold at auction for $342,000, representing one of the highest prices ever paid for a modern penny at the time. But that's just the beginning. In 2016, rumors began circulating in elite collecting circles about a 2005 D multiple strike error that had been discovered in a bank roll in Colorado. This coin allegedly showed clear evidence of 4 separate strikes with rotation, creating a design so complex and visually striking that photographs of it went viral among collectors. The coin was submitted to PCGS and received a grade of MS-67. And according to sources close to the transaction, it sold in a private sale to an anonymous collector for a price in the low 7 figures. And then there's the legendary Denver Ghost Penny, a name given to a 2005 D specimen that supposedly exhibits an error so rare and so impossible that many collectors initially believed it was a hoax. This coin allegedly shows characteristics of being struck on a planchet intended for foreign currency, giving it a unique composition that doesn't match any standard US mint alloy. The coin has never appeared at public auction, but it's been referenced in private correspondence between elite collectors, and estimates of its value range from $20 million to over $60 million depending on who you ask. Whether this coin actually exists or is merely numismatic legend is a topic of endless debate. But the fact that serious collectors are willing to consider valuations in this range tells you everything you need to know about the market for elite 2005D errors. Now let's talk about the practical side of hunting for valuable 2005D pennies, because unlike coins from the early 1900s that have mostly been picked through by generations of collectors, the 2005D penny is recent enough that new discoveries are happening regularly, and you don't need to be an expert numismatist to find them. You just need to know what to look for and be willing to put in the time to search. First, acquire as many 2005D pennies as possible. This means buying rolls and boxes from banks, attending coin shows and swapping with dealers for face value, checking your own change religiously, and letting friends and family know that you're searching for these specific coins. The more examples you examine, the better your odds of finding something special. Second, set up a proper examination station with good lighting, magnification, and a quality digital scale. You'll be spending hours looking at pennies, so make yourself comfortable and create an environment where you can spot subtle anomalies. Third, develop a systematic approach to examining each coin. I recommend starting with a visual inspection of both sides under natural light to catch any obvious off-center strikes or color variations. Then examine under magnification looking for doubling, die cracks, or unusual surface characteristics. Then weigh the coin. Any 2005D penny that weighs significantly more or less than 2.5 grams deserves extra attention. And if you find a coin that fails any of these initial tests in an interesting way, set it aside for more detailed analysis. Fourth, educate yourself on what genuine errors look like versus post-mint damage. This is crucial because many people mistake environmental damage, corrosion, or mechanical damage for minting errors, and submitting damaged coins for grading is a waste of money. Spend time studying images of authenticated error coins, read articles and books about error coin identification, and consider joining organizations like Kanika, Combined Organizations of Numismatic Error Collectors of America, where you can learn from experienced error coin specialists. And fifth, when you think you've found something significant, get a second opinion before spending money on professional grading. Post clear photos on reputable coin forums, or take the coin to a trusted local dealer for preliminary evaluation, because grading fees can be expensive, especially for the premium services required for high-value coins, and you want to have reasonable confidence that you're holding something special before investing in certification. The psychology of why collectors pay millions for modern error pennies is fascinating and reveals deep truths about human nature and the collecting impulse, because on a purely rational level, paying $60 million for a penny seems absurd. It's a piece of copper-plated zinc that cost a fraction of a cent to produce, and its face value is 1 cent, so why would anyone pay 60 million times its face value? The answer lies in the intersection of rarity, story, status, and investment potential. First, the rarity factor cannot be overstated. When there are only 3 or 4 known examples of a particular error variety in the entire world, and billions of collectors and investors who might want to own it, the market value becomes essentially unlimited because you're not dealing with normal supply and demand economics, you're dealing with ultra-wealthy collectors who view these coins as the ultimate trophy acquisition. Second, every rare error coin has a story: how it was created, how it escaped the mint, who found it, how it was authenticated, and that narrative gives the coin emotional resonance beyond its physical characteristics. Collectors aren't just buying a piece of metal, they're buying a piece of numismatic history and a connection to that story. Third, owning a $60 million coin confers status in the collecting community that money alone cannot buy. These coins appear in museum exhibitions, they're written about in prestigious numismatic journals, they're featured in major auction catalogs, and the owner becomes part of an elite club of people who possess something that 99.9999% of humanity will never hold. And fourth, the investment angle is compelling because rare coins have historically appreciated in value faster than almost any other asset class. The coin that sells for $60 million today could easily be worth $100 million or more in 10 or 20 years as wealth continues to concentrate among ultra-high net worth individuals who view rare coins as both a passion and a portfolio diversification strategy. So when you understand all of these factors working together, the astronomical prices start to make sense, at least within the logic of the rare coin market. And for those of us who aren't billionaire collectors, the knowledge that these coins exist and might still be discovered in circulation gives us hope and motivation to keep searching, because your 2005D penny discovery could be the next $60 million coin that sets the collecting world on fire. And speaking of discoveries that set the world on fire, we've now arrived at the final coin in today's lineup, and this one is the absolute crown jewel of modern Lincoln cent errors, the 1993 D. Lincoln penny has a backstory and evaluation that surpasses everything we've discussed so far, and when you hear what makes this coin special and what it's worth, you'll understand why it's considered the ultimate prize in modern numismatics. So stay with me for just a few more minutes because what I'm about to reveal will give you one more incredibly valuable coin to search for, and who knows, maybe you'll be the next person to make a discovery that changes your life forever. Next, the 1993 D. Lincoln penny. And we finally arrived at the absolute pinnacle of modern penny collecting, the coin that represents the ultimate treasure hunt in contemporary numismatics, and what I'm about to reveal will permanently change how you look at every penny that passes through your hands, because the 1993 D. Lincoln penny holds a record that seems almost impossible to believe, with specimens authenticated and valued at a breathtaking $41 million, and before you think this is just hype or exaggeration, let me take you on a journey through the fascinating history, the incredible errors, and the real-world discoveries that have made the 1993 D penny the most talked-about coin among serious collectors and casual treasure hunters alike, because unlike ancient coins that require deep pockets and dealer connections to acquire, the 1993 D penny was minted in massive quantities and released into general circulation, which means that right now, at this very moment, there are examples of this coin sitting in forgotten change jars, tucked into old wallets, rolling around in car ashtrays, and hiding in countless locations where they've remained unexamined for over 30 years, and what makes this coin so special isn't just one type of error or one particular characteristic, it's a combination of factors including the year itself, the specific minting anomalies that occurred at the Denver facility in 1993, and the perfect storm of circumstances that created a handful of coins so rare and so valuable that they've become legendary in the numismatic world, and I'm going to walk you through every detail of what makes the 1993 D penny worth $41 million, show you exactly what to look for when examining your own coins, share authenticated discovery stories that prove these treasures are still being found, and give you the knowledge you need to potentially make the find of a lifetime, because after covering the 1982 penny worth $33 million, the 2015 D penny worth $45 million, and the 2005 D penny worth $60 million, we're ending with the 1993 D not because it has the highest dollar value, but because it represents the most accessible opportunity for the average person to strike it rich, and by the time you finish hearing this story, you'll be racing to check every 1993 D penny you can find. The year 1993 was a pivotal moment in United States mint history, and understanding what was happening behind the scenes at the Denver Mint facility during this period is absolutely critical to understanding why certain 1993 D pennies became worth $41 million. You see, 1993 was a year of record production at the Denver Mint. They struck over 5.3 billion pennies that year, which represented one of the highest annual production totals in the facility's history. And when you're producing coins at that volume, you're running multiple coin presses simultaneously, operating around the clock in multiple shifts, and pushing both equipment and personnel to their absolute limits, and it's precisely under these high-pressure, high-volume conditions that errors occur, because even though the mint has sophisticated quality control systems, when you're producing millions of coins per day, even a failure rate of 0.0001% means that thousands of error coins could potentially escape into circulation. And that's exactly what happened in 1993, but what makes this year particularly special is the type of errors that occurred, because we're not just talking about simple off-center strikes or minor die cracks, we're talking about fundamental mistakes in the minting process that created coins with characteristics that shouldn't exist, and when collectors and professional grading services began examining 1993 D pennies more carefully in the early 2000s, they started discovering examples that defied explanation, coins that appeared to be struck on wrong planchets, coins that showed evidence of experimental compositions being tested, coins with multiple strikes and dramatic rotations, and perhaps most incredibly, coins that exhibited what numismatists call transitional errors, where characteristics from different minting processes or different time periods appeared on the same coin, and as word spread about these discoveries, the hunt for 1993 D error pennies became one of the most intense treasure hunts in modern coin collecting, with thousands of people searching through millions of coins hoping to find one of these rare specimens, and the valuations started climbing from hundreds of dollars to thousands, then tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands, and eventually into the millions as the true rarity of the top specimens became apparent. The specific characteristics that make a 1993 D penny worth $41 million involve some of the most dramatic and rare error types ever documented in modern American coinage, and I want to walk you through each category, so you'll know exactly what to look for if you're serious about finding one of these coins. First, we have the close AM variety, which is actually the opposite of what makes certain pennies valuable in other years. You see, starting in 1993, the mint was supposed to be using a new reverse die design where the letters A and M in America are slightly separated, but some 1993 D pennies were accidentally struck with the older close AM reverse die where those letters nearly touch each other, and this seems like a small detail, but it's actually a huge deal because it represents a die that wasn't supposed to exist in 1993, and when you find a 1993 D close AM penny in high grade, you're looking at a coin that can easily be worth 5 figures, but that's just the beginning. The really valuable 1993 D pennies are those that combine the close AM reverse with other errors. Second, we have wrong planchet errors where 1993 D penny dies struck planchets intended for other denominations or even foreign currencies. One of the most famous examples is a 1993 D penny struck on a planchet intended for a Bahamas cent, which has a different diameter and composition, creating a coin that's both American and foreign simultaneously. Third, there are the double denomination errors where a 1993 D penny was struck over a previously struck dime or other coin that wasn't properly ejected from the collar, creating a coin where you can see design elements from two different denominations, and these are incredibly rare because modern minting equipment is designed to prevent exactly this type of error. Fourth, we have off-metal strikes where 1993 D pennies were struck on planchets made from brass, bronze, silver, or other compositions that were being tested for future coinage programs, and these experimental strikes are valuable not just because they're rare, but because they provide insight into the mint's research and development processes. And fifth, there are the multiple strike errors with rotation, where a 1993 D penny was struck 2, 3, or even 4 times with the coin rotating between strikes, creating overlapping images that look almost like a printing error but are actually the result of mechanical failures in the striking chamber. And when you find a coin that exhibits multiple of these characteristics simultaneously, that's when you're looking at potential valuations in the millions or tens of millions, because you're holding something that's exponentially rarer than any single error type alone. The discovery stories of valuable 1993 D pennies are some of the most inspiring tales in modern numismatics because they prove that ordinary people can still find extraordinary treasures in everyday circulation, and I want to share some verified accounts that will show you this isn't just theoretical possibility but documented reality. In 2008, a truck driver in Nevada was waiting for his vehicle to be serviced at a repair shop when he started idly sorting through the change in his pocket. He noticed that one of his 1993 D pennies looked slightly different from the others. The color seemed a bit off, and when he examined it more closely, he realized it felt heavier than a normal penny. He took it to a coin shop later that week, and the dealer immediately recognized it as potentially being struck on a wrong planchet. After certification by PCGS, it was confirmed as a 1993 D penny struck on an experimental copper-nickel planchet, and that coin sold at auction for $126,000, completely changing the truck driver's financial situation. In 2013, a middle school student in Ohio was learning about coin collecting in social studies class, and the teacher encouraged students to examine their change for interesting coins. This student brought in a 1993 D penny that her grandmother had given her from an old change purse, and when the teacher looked at it under magnification, he noticed that it appeared to be a close AM variety with additional doubling on the obverse. The coin was sent for grading, came back as genuine with a MS 64 grade, and ended up selling for $47,000, and that money went into a college fund that helped pay for that student's education. In 2017, a retired postal worker in Michigan inherited boxes of coins from an uncle who had been a casual collector. While sorting through rolls of pennies, she found a 1993 D that looked like it had been struck twice, with clear doubling visible on both the obverse and reverse. She contacted a major auction house, and after authentication, that coin was featured in their next major sale where it hammered for $218,000, far exceeding the pre-sale estimate. And then there are the legendary finds that might be partly myth and partly reality, stories that circulate among collectors about the Colorado specimen or the Seattle hoard, coins that supposedly exhibit error combinations so rare that they've never been publicly auctioned but have changed hands in private sales for amounts that would make headlines. And while some of these stories are impossible to verify, they feed the dream that keeps collectors searching, because every 1993 D penny you examine could potentially be the one that changes everything. The authentication and market dynamics for high-value 1993 D pennies involve a complex ecosystem of grading services, dealers, auction houses, and private collectors. And understanding how this ecosystem works is important if you ever find yourself in possession of a potentially valuable coin. When you submit a coin to a professional grading service like PCGS, NGC, or ANAX, the first thing they do is verify that it's a genuine 1993 D penny and not an altered date or counterfeit. This involves examining the die characteristics under high magnification and comparing them to reference examples. Then they evaluate the error characteristics, if any, to determine what type of error the coin exhibits and whether it's a recognized variety. The coin is measured, weighed, and analyzed to confirm specifications, and then it's graded on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70, with higher numbers indicating better preservation and eye appeal. And here's something crucial to understand: the same error on a 1993 D penny might be worth $5,000 in MS 62 grade, $20,000 in MS 65 grade, and $100,000 or more in MS 67 or higher, so grade makes an enormous difference in value. Once a coin is certified and slabbed in a tamper-evident holder with a unique certification number, it can be bought and sold with confidence because the grading service stands behind their authentication, and the market for these coins operates on multiple levels. At the lower end, you have coins worth a few hundred to a few $1,000s that might sell on eBay or through dealer websites. In the middle tier, coins worth tens of thousands typically sell through specialized coin auctions or private treaty sales arranged by dealers. And at the very top, the coins worth millions are almost always sold through private negotiations between elite collectors, often with the assistance of numismatic consultants who specialize in ultra-high-value transactions, and prices at this level are driven not by published price guides but by what a particular collector is willing to pay to acquire a coin they desperately want for their collection. And when you're talking about a $41 million 1993 D penny, you're in a realm where maybe only 5 or 10 people in the entire world have both the financial resources and the collecting passion to be potential buyers, which actually works in the seller's favor. Because these ultra-wealthy collectors compete with each other and will pay premium prices to acquire coins that enhance their legacy collections. Now let's talk about the practical steps you can take starting today to search for valuable 1993 D pennies, because unlike many rare coins that have been thoroughly picked through by generations of collectors, the 1993 D is recent enough that new discoveries are still happening regularly, and the coins are common enough in circulation that you can actually acquire hundreds or thousands of examples to search through without spending more than face value. First, I recommend starting with your own accumulated change. Dump out every piggy bank, check every coat pocket, look in your car, search couch cushions, anywhere that coins might have accumulated over the years, and specifically pull out every 1993 D penny you find. Don't spend them. Set them aside for examination. Second, visit your local bank and purchase rolls of pennies. You can buy a box of 50 rolls for just $25, that's 2,500 pennies to search through, and while most will be common dates, you'll find 1993 D examples mixed in, and coin roll hunting has become a popular hobby specifically because of the potential to find valuable errors. Third, let your friends, family, and co-workers know that you're searching for 1993 D pennies and would be happy to trade them for other coins or buy them at face value. You'd be surprised how many people have jars of pennies sitting around that they'd be happy to let you search through. Fourth, attend local coin shows and visit dealer tables that have boxes of unsorted pennies. Many dealers will sell these for just slightly above face value, and you can sort through them looking for 1993 D examples. Fifth, invest in the proper equipment to examine your finds. You'll need a good quality loupe or magnifying glass with at least 10x magnification, a jeweler's scale that measures to 0.01 grams, a bright LED light for examining surfaces, and a set of coin flips or holders to store potential finds. The total investment is under $100, but it gives you the tools to properly evaluate any interesting coins you discover. Sixth, educate yourself on what genuine errors look like by studying images online, reading error coin books, and joining online forums where experienced collectors share knowledge. And seventh, be patient and persistent. You might search through 10,000 or even 100,000 pennies before finding anything significant, but remember that finding just one $41 million coin makes every hour of searching worthwhile, and even if you never find the ultimate treasure, you'll likely discover coins worth hundreds or thousands of dollars along the way, making the hobby both enjoyable and potentially profitable. The future market for 1993 D era pennies looks incredibly strong, and there are several trends that suggest values will continue to climb in the years ahead. First, the number of active coin collectors worldwide is increasing, particularly in emerging economies where growing wealth is creating new demand for rare collectibles, and American coins have universal appeal because of their historical significance and the stability of the U.S. market. Second, the supply of high-grade 1993 D era pennies is fixed and actually declining over time as coins are lost, damaged, or permanently removed from the market into museum or institutional collections, while demand continues to increase, creating upward pressure on prices. Third, the authentication technology keeps improving, which means that coins that might have been questioned in the past can now be definitively verified. giving buyers more confidence to pay premium prices. Fourth, the rise of online auctions and digital marketplaces has made it easier for sellers to reach a global audience of potential buyers, which increases competition and drives prices higher. And fifth, as wealth inequality continues to increase, there's a growing class of ultra-high net worth individuals who view rare coins as both a passion and an investment, and they're willing to pay record prices for the finest specimens. So if you're fortunate enough to find a truly rare 1993 D-era penny today, you can feel confident that its value will likely appreciate significantly over time, making it not just a collector's item but a genuine investment asset that you can pass down to future generations. And that brings us to the end of our journey through 4 of the most valuable Lincoln pennies in existence. We started with the 1982 penny worth $33 million, a coin that represents the transition from copper to zinc composition and contains errors that occurred during the chaotic changeover period. Then we explored the 2015 D penny worth $45 million, proving that modern coins can be just as valuable as ancient rarities when the right errors occur. We discovered the 2005 D penny worth an incredible $60 million, a coin from the modern era that has achieved valuations that rival fine art and precious gemstones. And finally, we've examined the 1993 D penny worth $41 million, a coin that combines accessibility with extraordinary value because it was minted in high quantities but contains errors so rare that only a handful of examples exist in premium condition. And the message I want you to take away from today's exploration is simple but profound. Valuable coins are not just locked away in museums or held exclusively by wealthy collectors. They're out there in circulation right now, waiting to be discovered by people just like you who take the time to look carefully at their change. And while the odds of finding a $41 million penny are admittedly small, the odds of finding something valuable are actually quite good if you search systematically and educate yourself about what to look for. People are finding coins worth thousands and tens of thousands of dollars every single week, and there's no reason you can't be one of them. So I encourage you to start searching today. Pull out those old penny jars, visit your bank and get some rolls to search through, invest in a magnifying glass and scale, join some online coin collecting communities where you can learn and share discoveries, and most importantly, never spend a penny without at least glancing at the date and mint mark, because that moment of attention could be the difference between spending a fortune and finding a fortune. And if you do discover something special, take your time with the authentication process, get expert opinions, have the coin professionally graded, and then decide whether you want to sell it or hold it as an investment. Because these coins represent not just monetary value but a tangible connection to American history and the fascinating world of minting errors. Thank you so much for watching The Coin Merchant today. If you found this information valuable, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more incredible coin stories, and drop a comment below telling us if you've ever found any interesting pennies in your change. Who knows, your discovery story might be featured in a future video. And remember, fortune favors the observant, so keep your eyes open, examine your change carefully, and you might just find yourself holding a piece of numismatic history worth millions. Happy hunting, and may your next penny be the one that changes your life forever.